Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Capes and Lunatics. We got another big interview for you. It's me, Phil. It's Lilith, and of course, if you've been listening to the Capes and Lunatics for any length of time, yes, you know, yes, our good friend Miss Kelly Thompson, who we always bother for when she gets a new book. So, hello, thank you for joining us once again, Kelly.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
And this time, yes, it's absolute Wonder Woman #1.
Jim Lee variant, a man of distinction and fine taste.
I was gonna say that's when you know it's getting real. Yeah, you got a Jim Lee variant there. Yeah. So Kelly, so once again, this reminded me of the Scarlet miniseries you were just doing for Image, where it's like you're taking a well-established character, but you're kind of like reinterpreting them for with
I don't think it's a reinterpretation. I think it's a bold take to take her back to her roots and origins. And if you were any kind of Wonder Woman fan or read any of Kelly's interviews, you should have read Wonder Woman Historia as the baseline to understand what she's trying to go
well,
for.
I'm not as big a fan as you are, Lilith, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to give people homework, and I did feel like I had to sort of clarify that you don't have to have read anything before you come to this, but I just think
well,
anyone that likes what Absolute Wonder Woman is, it was very inspired by Historia. So if you liked what you found in our book, you might also like Historia, which I feel like is, the Wonder Woman origin done. And really the Amazons more than the
Yes, because she
Wonder
doesn't show up
Woman.
till volume 3, technically.
She doesn't show up until the very end, but you're all leading to that. It's all about Wonder Woman in that sense, but it's so much about the Amazons. And I just, when it comes time to do this in a new universe, I mean, I was just looking at that stuff and I was like, well, this can't be done better. I'd be a fool to try and go in and like be like, oh no, here's the other way. I'm like, no, we can't use it 100% as canon, as a literal canon for us, because the events would have naturally been a little different because it's a different universe. But I think this is a pretty close. It's definitely the right vibes for what we're doing. And yeah, I'd encourage anyone who really likes Absolute Wonder Woman to check it out. It's 3 volumes. It's a visual feast with some of the most incredible artists ever, and it's got a really strong guiding hand. It's incredibly powerful story about sisterhood. Go. You gotta go. Sorry, my cat says he's
The
not.
cat's
He's
like,
not.
yes, powerful sisterhood, feed
Yeah.
me.
Yes, powerful sisterhood. I don't understand daylight savings time. I'm definitely being starved. Is a situation going on with him. Sorry.
oh no, that's fine.
I've
So
got
yeah,
5 dogs. I totally get it.
so it was it was really cool to be able to take a character, and honestly it was true on Scarlet as well. I mean, especially because Scarlet was a big like sort of a gateway character for me, a little bit the same way Wonder Woman was, although at a much different time in my life, like where I just really fell in love with them and they broke open a lot of other geek things for me. And so getting to take big swings bringing a character like that into a new world was really fun, was really cool. um with Wonder Woman, there were certainly times where when I was doing it where I felt like, especially before I came up with the final idea of where we landed, where I was just trying these takes where it just didn't feel like her. It felt like some other cool character that was interesting but wasn't Diana, and I really had to peel things back until I felt like we got to a place where it was still really her, which it was a tricky balance, but I had an incredible team helping me.
So, like when this was, so when they pitched this to you, like how much did they give you? Did they, well, like were there specifics like, okay, you got to get rid of the Amazons pretty early,
So, yeah, what's the editorial mandate here?
or was everything on you? Were they just like make it different? And, yeah,
It
go.
was really completely open. I mean, maybe I would have had guardrails put on me or restrictions if I had come with a take that didn't naturally play as well. Like if they had had some reason that, hey, listen, she can't be the first public superhero for X, Y, or Z. Like, if I had bounced into things like that, I think there would have been really reasonable reasons to put guardrails on things. But it just so happened that what I was doing wasn't bumping into. I think the only thing that we got vetoed on was that originally she was supposed to have an axe, and we couldn't do that because Batman has a very famous axe now. For anyone who's read that first Absolute book, you can see why you don't want two axes in your first issues as these like big stars. I was a little nervous about giving her the sword because historically that has not gone well with Wonder Woman fans. But apparently, if you make it big enough, a lot of the concern falls away.
You can't have a teeny tiny sword. Gotta
Well,
have a
it's,
big
you
one.
know, at first I was just making that joke, like if you make the sword big enough, nobody's concerned anymore. But I do think it's true. And I think the reason is because the sword, a regular sized sword, says nothing about Wonder Woman. If anything, it says something negative, like, why can't she's so strong, she can fly, she can do all these incredible things. What would be the reason for her to need just like a normal sword? And I'm not trying to swing on those other things or people or all the time she's used that. It's just clicked in my mind why people don't seem to like one, but really got behind this big sword. And I think it's because the big sword implies other things.
Fetish.
Well, maybe it's that, but I was being a little more generous and saying it was more about, it implies how strong she must be to be able to wield it. It implies what she might be fighting as to why would she need such a large weapon. Also the magic ties of like how she's getting rid of it and like how it's changing size based on what she needs it to be. Those are all interesting things that you don't just get with a normal sword that anyone else could pick up, right? So, I mean, we sort of stumbled into that one, just by the very nature of we couldn't use the axe. I would say
But
the
chosen
only,
ones and magic swords go together. I mean, just
I would
that's the
for sure.
Arthurian legend.
Yes, yes. And I think that's why people sometimes want to see her with the sword, because it does have a certain cachet to it. I mean, you know, Excalibur and all of that. There's all that honor among swords. I mean, anyone who's, you know, been a fan of Game of Thrones and like the names those swords get and everything. It's cool stuff, man. These are fun fictional worlds to play in. I would say the only other editorial mandate I bumped into was her height. Everyone was completely fine with her being super tall and her being taller than usual, but it's hard to make her taller than Batman when he's the giant a giant. I'm not swinging on it. I think the giant Batman is super fun. I think Nick Dragata and Scott are just cooking on that, and you know, you don't want to get in their way. But yeah, I mean, in my perfect world, Diana is always taller than Bruce. She's taller than Superman too in my perfect world. But you know, very few things in
A
life are
woman after my
perfect.
own heart.
Very few things in life are perfect. We get what we do the best with what we have, and I'm very satisfied that she's at least quite large in her own book. So feels right, you know.
So speaking of Nick and the others, are there conversations going on between you all since the three teams are basically creating this new universe?
I mean, there's certainly coordination. I mean, Scott obviously is the guy in charge, but I have to say I've felt very little oversight from him. It's all been very like encouraging and I would say additive. Um, I think that definitely, I think as we keep going, like there was a lot of talk at the very beginning when you're setting it up. I think right now we're all very into our own stories, so there's a little bit less talk. But yeah, I think we'll be doing more and more of that over the next couple of months, you know, as we make plans for, you know, how are these characters going to intersect? What as you add more books,
Trinity.
what do
Absolute Trinity.
what do these look like as more books come to the field? You know, how do these characters that are, you know, certainly once Diana hits in a very large way, it's not a secret now, you know. I don't know how long Bruce wants to stay in the shadows, forever or whatever. But he now can see a news report that has a super powered woman, you know, fighting monsters on a beach somewhere. And so that sort of puts a clock onto how are these characters going to come into each other's orbits or become aware of each other and things like that. It's all really fun. It's great. It's very cool to get to be part of that, you know, building that.
I've seen lots of good comments. I mean, first with Absolute Batman, it was like, "Oh, I like this," and then then the when this book came out, everyone was like, I thought Absolute Batman was good. This is even better.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's you're very happy when those are the words that are coming out of people's mouths. I think, it's funny to be a part of something like this. It benefits everyone for all the books to be strong. So you really want the books to all be strong, but there's no way to pretend you don't secretly want yours to be the best. Of course you do. So I was very happy that people were responding to it in that incredible way. Also, especially, when you've got, Batman is always going to outsell everybody. Like, I mean, that's just how he goes. So, we'll take some extra critical acclaim if they get some extra sales. We're happy to have it. Everyone come into the tent.
Oh, our friend Noel's in the chat room first. Yes, of course.
No, the most important message.
Oh, the second one, yes. Make
I think we can all get on board with that. Although maybe not Absolute Batman. He might
he
might be doing his part.
No. So yeah, I mean, I've seen good hype on all these books. I think Absolute Superman comes out this week, so.
Is it this week? Oh, what a week to have to debut.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got Birds of Prey coming out this week, but
yes.
But it's like issue 15, not issue 1. It's hard to do an issue 1.
I think people would need that more than ever, though, honestly.
Yes, I think people will be excited to have it, and I think I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about things, but I will say I am having a little bit of a on Jason's behalf, I'm having a little bit of a flashback to my first creator-owned middle grade thing was debuting on the week of the election in 2016.
Oh.
And and that was not a good time.
You're definitely sending him a fruit basket. You know the feeling.
Yeah. So I hope he's gonna have a much better week, as are we all. So
I'm so glad that I've been very nervous about just the future of Wonder Woman for a while. Like, she's kind of been lost. We've been trying these really different things, and I've been saying literally for like the last 7 years, just take her back to basics. Just take her back. Like, they killed her, they made Hippolyta, like the whole thing, and like I love Nubia and everything, but at the end of the day, Wonder Woman is my gal. So I'm just like, what is Absolute gonna do with her now? I mean, she's literally done everything but go back to basics, and essentially this is like she needed to find herself again, metaphorically and philosophically and everything. And I think this is a really great start. And I mean, depending on how it ends, I'm like, maybe we make this new canon. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think we are definitely in. I feel like when you're doing something like this, the hard part is in cracking the initial code of like figuring out what the idea is and how it can work and does it have legs and all of that. And that can be really hard. I mean, I've said on a bunch of podcasts that I almost had to call Scott and quit because I couldn't figure it out. And I was like,
and that's when you know it's going to be good. That's when you know you're cooking. When you're like, nah, I don't want to do this. Nope.
Well, I know. I mean, this was panic. This was, man, I'm going to fall on my face on a really big book, which I don't want to do. Also, if I call Scott and drop out, like, that's someone handing you a really big moment in your career. And then you've had to not only fail at it, but say, I can't even do it. Like, I mean, it was totally a nightmare for me, but I couldn't crack it. Everything I tried was not working. And then a few days before I was feeling like my deadline was to make that call and apologize for burning up all his runway, I had this idea about which Wonder Woman raised in hell by her enemy. And I was like, wait, that's something. I can do something with that. That really has layers to it. And as I started fleshing that out, it became the easier job than inheriting the regular book where you're having to deal with everything that's come before and what you want to put on the board and how many of these supporting casts. Like, instead, my job, once I had that idea, became much easier because yes, you're trying to draw from things and be inspired from them, but you've been given this beautiful blank runway, and certainly because Scott and DC were so behind us and gave me such an incredible team to build it with, it just becomes pure joy.
Oh,
And
Hayden killed it. Like, so,
uh,
like this, it's like this dark fantasy, and like that, just like I don't know, it felt kismet because like a
there's
lot of his stuff, specifically, I'm thinking of like Above Snakes is kind of like the vibe. Really, is
yeah,
what I'm feeling, and like Dark Spaces Dungeon too.
yeah, they're so great. They, we there was a lot of talk about like, is Hayden the right choice? Because they've got like almost a Mobius Wonder Woman, and like, are people ready for that? And we were all really excited about that, but you have to look at what you're doing and be like, is this the right fit? And like really investigate those questions. And I think Chris Conroy, the editor, sent me some stuff of Hayden's that hasn't come out yet, that some of it was Batman related, and it blew my mind. It was so good. I think that night I was like, listen, I said to Chris, I said, listen, everything you've sent me of theirs is incredible, but this, my God, this, like, we'd be crazy not to put them on the book. And Chris was like, I agree. And there we are. And I've never regretted it. They're an incredible collaborator. They're fast, they're smart, they're cool, they just get it. And we're very aligned on what we're trying to do, which, you don't have to be to make a great book, but I think it certainly helps for everyone to be pulling in the same direction.
Yeah, it's a certain magic that happens, and even the reader
Yeah.
can kind of feel it when everything just comes together.
Yeah. But I have to give a lot of credit to DC because I think it's a real wild book. I mean, to do 30 pages of this new thing and be like, oh, we're only putting 2 named characters in it. And like, yeah, we're going to dig up this old city. That'll be another cool thing people are be excited about. And I mean, they could have looked at us like we were crazy, but instead they were like, this is awesome. Keep going. Do this. Do more of this. And man, it's been a really rewarding experience.
Oh yeah, I read this. I mean, I wasn't familiar with the artist, but I mean, from your story, the art, I got done with this, and I was like, "This is badass." I'm like, "No, yeah, no, this needs to continue."
Yeah, we've got lots of great ideas. We're pretty fleshed out through 12
Ooh.
um for plotting. Like the first 7 issues are quite tightly plotted than the arc that comes after that. So it's a 5-issue arc with Hayden, then we'll have a guest artist for 6 and 7, which will not take place in Gateway City. And then Hayden will be back for 8 through 12, and then, we're still building out from beyond that. So it's pretty exciting.
Cough twice if the 3 books are going to cross over within the next year or so.
I'm sure they are going to cross over. I do not know when that
I'm
moment will
assuming
be
they want to
yet.
give it some space to
Oh
breathe
yeah,
a
yeah,
little.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think they definitely don't want to crowd any. I mean, I
Yeah, don't rush
definitely
it.
like, I think there's, you only get that first meeting once, and I know people get excited about it, and so they sort of want to rush toward it. I mean, I had people asking me the other day, like, when is Donna going to show up? And I'm like, dude, we've met 2 characters. And I've established one of them is the first public superhero in the world. Like, why do we want to have Donna and all of this other stuff? Like, let's enjoy
Let her
this. And
breathe.
like,
Yeah.
yes, let's get there in our own time. And I think some of that just comes from people are excited about their favorites, and it's not even that they want them right now so much as they
It's just
want to know
they want
they
confirmation that
yes, they
eventually.
want to know that eventually they're going to get there, to which I say it depends on the length of the absolute, right? It depends. If you guys are still excited about it in, a year, I feel like anything is possible. If you're still excited about it in 2 years, a lot of things will have happened and anything will still be possible. But, so I think it just depends. How long are we going to go? Um, and so does how the crossing over of it all works. I mean, I suspect that, everyone's gonna want really a year before that's happening. That would be my guess. Just because you're gonna wanna build to it being something special. You don't want the character to just stumble into another character's book. You want it to really mean something and lead to it. And so because of the way the plotting works, I think,
Straight.
yeah, you're probably looking at, closer to a year before things are starting to cross over. But I'm not in charge of how that all works, so I'm largely speaking out of turn there.
Well, I said the 3 books. I think they announced more. Didn't they announce
Yeah.
Absolute
Y-
Green Lantern, Absolute Martian Manhunter? So I mean,
And
Uh, but-
Flash,
yeah.
yes.
Fingers
So
crossed eventually we get it. absolute Justice League. So
again,
another thing that needs to be rebuilt.
A long way out. I mean, but how these disparate Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman would come together to even build something like that. It's exciting. It's exciting to think about how that could come about, you know?
Yeah. So you said you pitched this idea to them. Did they like put like a call out like, hey, we're working on this thing where, you know, it's basically a blank slate and they just took submissions, or did they just
So
tap you on the shoulder
no.
and say, can you cook something up?
Yeah, no, I don't really lately. I have been lucky enough to not have to do sort of bake-offs where I'm competing. It's more someone coming to me and asking me if I'm interested in it, and then us talking it through. I think in this case, Scott and I had talked about it first a little over a year ago, I think. And I don't know if it was just very early in the process or if he also had other people in mind for it or whatever, but nothing happened right away. I was just sort of thinking about it in the back of my mind a little bit. And then he came back to me in like winter, spring of 2024. And he was like, all right, so I really want you to do this. Have you been thinking about it? Are you interested? And, and I was like, yes, I'm still interested. I'm still terrified. I was like, let's talk about it. And like, he had a few vague ideas, about like what, and I don't mean vague in like, I don't mean vague and like not baked or anything, but I just mean I don't think he had any intention of stepping over whoever it was going to be, whether it was me or someone else. He didn't want to put too much on that. He wanted to give people room to really build it themselves, which I really appreciate. I don't think I think he had some ideas that I incorporated but in a different way than like what he was thinking, I think. Like I don't think this was what he thought I would do. But when I came to him with the idea, he was like, that's fucking great. He was like, do that. And I was like, okay, are you sure? And he's like, yes, this is it. He goes, that's really cool. And he really just supported us through it. And it's been great. It's a little, I realize I'm describing a really ideal experience. This doesn't happen all the time and you get really excited when it happens, and when you can also really love the book, and then the fans really respond to it. I mean, it's definitely the best experience I've ever had in comics so far. It's been incredible.
That's crazy considering how long you've been in comics.
It's been an amazing thing to go through.
Yeah, because Lilith, I mean, when I was contacting Kelly to set up a time, because she's always great setting up time for us, she's like, oh yeah, I've been getting so many requests because I think it's because I'm writing Wonder Woman, probably, but you're a name now, Kelly. I mean, look at all the hits you've been pumping out. That's
Thank you.
You deserve not to have to bake off, okay?
Well, you try to never get too big for your britches. A bake-off situation can always come back and hurt you in the sad place. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice to not have to do it. Especially because it's just not a way in which I excel. Like, I'm not saying I can't win a bake-off, but I don't really. I don't know. I don't know. In my mind, like you do better in a bake-off if you've got a lot of ideas and you're more flexible. And I'm not that flexible. I don't come with a ton of ideas. I tend to come with one idea. And that is a blessing and a curse, I think. I think sometimes that means the idea is more well thought through and like more specific to the thing you're doing, and it really resonates and it works out. And sometimes it shows you have a lack of depth in the character maybe, and like you're not able to be flexible and pivoting enough to what they really need. I remember talking with my friend Matt Rosenberg once because we weren't pitching for the same thing, but at the same time we were pitching at Marvel for something. And they were different books, but we were sort of sharing shop notes or whatever about, we were both struggling with it or whatever. And he had like 10 ideas. He had like 10 ideas that each had like a couple paragraphs, like fleshing them out. And I had like one idea that was like 3 pages long. That was like, this is what it is. And I was like, he's like, "Oh, your idea is great." He's like, "I really like it, blah, blah, blah." I was like, "Yeah, but you have 10 good ideas." He's like, "Yeah, but none of them are fleshed out like the way yours is. Like, maybe you'll convince them." I was like, "Yeah, or maybe they'll be like, well, we don't like this. What else do you have?" I was like, "You've got 9 more ideas." So I just think everyone works a little differently. And sometimes Matt's approach would be the right way to go, and sometimes mine would. And you just don't really ever know it until you're in it, unfortunately.
I mean, I think you come with very clear. You're like, I thought this out. This is the vision I have for this character. Yeah.
Well, I do hope that at this point, like some of that perspective and the things I'm interested in and what I bring to the table, I do think that, like I feel like that's part of why I got tapped on the shoulder for the Scarlet job, also for Wonder Woman, but for Scarlet, it felt very much like we've seen that you can take female characters in these scenarios and like turn around something pretty interesting, and we'd love to see what that looks like for Scarlet, and that's how we ended up.
Mhm. And of course, I mean, still growing strong on Birds of Prey. I'm sure lots of people at DC took
Absolutely
notice about
crazy,
Birds of Prey.
unexpected
Yeah.
take. Just I love so much. Didn't know I needed it until it happened.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we're having a really good time there, and this is another plus for DC. We're building out beyond the so I've got what we're written through the 1819 arc, and so that's like a short arc that comes out this one we're currently in. And I was working on developing what this new arc was going to be, and DC really, I was having a conversation with some of my editors, and they were like, well, really, you could do this bigger story, and we were sort of talking about this, and then it became clear in the process that they'd really that we were sort of approved for like a year, and I've just never experienced that before. Like, at Marvel, even when we were doing Captain Marvel and we went 50 issues, it's still until the very end, until like those last maybe 10 issues, it was really still issue or trade to trade. You're still writing for the trade, like you're never given that much rope. So I got really excited with Birds of Prey when they were like, well, you don't have to just plan for this arc. Like, what does that look like? And I was like, really? Like, yes, okay. All right, I'm
That's
in.
so good to
So,
hear. That's
yeah.
something Phil and I talk about a lot
Yeah.
with modern comics, how everything's pretty much written from the trades and how a lot of writers and artists don't get more than a year on a book
Yeah.
mostly
You're lucky to get that
anymore.
now. Yeah. Yeah, it's really difficult. And this is really exciting for me. I mean, I can't know how well I'm going to execute or not execute here. Like we'll have to the proof will be in the pudding, I guess. But I feel like giving a little more rope to a book like Birds of Prey is great, because when I'm juggling 5 characters on an ensemble and sometimes guest stars who are popping in, like, and to be able to develop B and C plots for them that are like more emotional stuff that they're dealing with on top of whatever sort of bad guy of the week we're dealing with is great, and will make the book better, and will, in my opinion, if we can continue being successful, in theory, it gives it a longer tail because you've got a lot more depth of story that you're able to play with. But those just, modern comic writers have really had to drop B and C plots, because 9 times out of 10, when you're developing those, unless you happen to end up on a hit, or unless you're writing, Batman or Spider-Man or something, you're not going to get to develop whatever that C plot is that happens next year. That's not going to be able to develop into a big main story. It's just gonna seem like you dropped the ball and you didn't get to finish it, which has happened to me, has happened before for sure. I was developing a whole cool thing in Black Widow where I wanted to do this really
Oh,
cool
don't get us
old
started on Black Widow, Kelly.
to do this really cool old school spy stuff where I had her visit a cobbler, which is like a guy who makes new IDs and stuff, and we were setting up that she was sort of looking for her family as a sort of test, like to see if they were really hidden, but like also because she was really missed them, and like part of her like was hoping she'd get to see them or something. And we did a little bit of it, but there were whole intentions for where that was going to go, and you don't get to pay it off, and it sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
We've
still
always.
miss that book. We still talk about
Yeah.
that book every
We
now and
yeah.
then.
And again, with all these modern comics, again, absolute Wonder Woman. Let this woman cook. Come on. Oh no, I'm
Yeah.
happy. I'm happy you said so. It's. I thought for some reason I heard like all these series were only going to be like 5 or 6 issues. So they are going.
Yeah,
I
no,
bet
there's
some they would have invested the year, Phil, just because it's such an event and
I
Yeah,
they made a
think
big deal
yeah.
about it.
I
So
think I think people are so traumatized to getting miniseries now, and then there was a whole. It's funny because there was a whole conversation about whether we should do, because our first arc is called The Last Amazon, and we were like, well, on this big, we're gonna have this double page spread that has the credits and everything. Should we put 1 of 5, or should we just say number 1 or whatever? And I was like, ugh, I mean, there's honestly really good arguments for both. And so we ended up just looking to see what Batman did, and we're like, we'll do that. Like, let's keep it consistent. And I'm not saying Batman made the wrong decision, but I have seen a lot of people thinking it's a mini series, thinking they're all mini series. And I'm like, no, no, no. We clearly made a mistake doing 1 of 5 because people are traumatized.
yeah, for sure.
They've
It's not like the
forgotten.
full miniseries anymore. It's not like 6 issues. You're lucky to get 5 out of a miniseries.
Yeah,
these
honestly,
days.
it's true. And the paper just gets thinner and thinner in the trades. I mean, it's pretty crazy, man. It's pretty crazy.
But you're hanging in there. You're delivering quality stuff. So we
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you. I've had a really great year. It's been incredibly rewarding to, I feel a little too lucky maybe, because not only did I have a bunch of creator-owned stuff come out this year that I was really proud of, but I've also had like some of my biggest and best and certainly best-selling and best reviewed stuff come out for work for hire stuff too, which it's been cool. I've never really had those things sort of succeeding at the same time. Come on, get down. I'm sorry. 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 It's like very
Put the kitty
upset.
on camera and we'll get
Very,
extra views.
very upset with both of you in particular. I'm just kidding.
Oh, keep it
It's
for the food, yeah.
all directed at me.
So I mean, I know everybody's working on a ton of books these days. So give us the magic number, Kelly. How many books are you working on right now?
Well, so I'm really only doing 2. Well, no, I guess it's 4. So I'm doing It's Jeff, the new season of It's Jeff. I'm not sure when that's going to launch. I did do a one shot for It's Jeff that'll be out next month. It's the week
Is it the
before
Venom War?
Thanksgiving.
Is it
Yeah,
the Venom War one?
the
Yeah.
Venom War one, very fun. 30 pages, Jeff's longest outing yet. And you don't have to have read Venom War to know that what's going on. It's you can just come in clean to it. It's fine. Which is not to say don't read Venom War. I'm sure there's lots that's cool about Venom War. I'm just behind on all my reading. Oh no, now he's in the bathroom doing his meowling. It's his favorite. He goes into the tub and complains.
He's got to
It's great.
amplify.
Yeah, it's great. I'm gonna shut you in there if you can't be quiet. I'm not gonna do that. I would never. Plus, he'll just get louder. Anyway, so what was I talking about? Oh, Jeff. So it's Jeff, and then Black Cloak. I'm still doing. We're in the tail end of our second arc for that, so that's coming out, and issue 10 will be out this month. And then I'm doing Absolute Wonder Woman. I'm doing Birds of Prey. And everything else I'm doing cannot be announced yet, so we'll see.
Oh, see.
Oh.
I knew that 4 number sounded low. I'm like, there's a bunch because everyone has a number, and then everyone has at least one. I can't announce it yet.
Yeah. In this case, I'm not even sure it's gonna happen.
Mm.
If it doesn't happen, then I guess I'll pivot something else in and we'll see how it goes. So, Monarch, come on, bud. Come on. Come here. We'll do it as soon as I get done. Don't you want to hear about Wonder Woman? Come here.
No.
You guys are gonna make me have to do the song, the soothing song.
Yes!
on the
Oh!
podcast. No.
Not warm kitty, soft kitty.
Yes.
No, it's worse than that, I'm afraid. Monarch, Monarch. Come on, bud. Man, I'm sorry. He's being so loud. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but
No,
it's
you
hard.
can't.
Okay, good. Then I'll just try to ignore it.
I think we got the exclusive on the song.
I'm not doing it. I just thought maybe I could do a sing-songy call of his name and that might work. It did not work.
But yeah, Lilith and I are reading Venom War, and we were looking down the checklist, and we're like, oh, there's a Jeff special. Yeah.
Man, it's so fun. It's like a little mini West Coast Avengers reunion as
Oh,
well.
nice.
Because
told you.
Jeff doesn't have any dialogue except for murmur. So, you 30 pages is really pushing on it to do no dialogue. So, we about halfway through, I'd say the West Coast Avengers get involved. Some of the girls are there at the beginning too in a fun way, but yeah, it's a total joy. I mean, Guri Hiru, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting better at choosing projects and being a better professional or something. I don't know, but I have to say a lot of my projects right now are pretty dreamlike. Birds of Prey is really fun right now. We've got Sammy and Adriano on that. We're having a great time. I love that team. The Wonder Woman book is incredible. I can't say who the alternate artist is for issues 6 and 7 yet, but we're doing that simultaneously, and they're a joy to work with. And Guri Hero is always pure delight with Jeff, and then of course Meredith McLaren on Black Cloak. Like I'm just surrounded by really great people, and it's I feel very fortunate that they want to work with me and that we can create some cool stuff together.
Nice. Again, talent, track talent, Kelly. So
I like to believe that.
don't worry, you don't have to say it.
That's
We'll
what
Such
say
you
it.
a modest
tell.
queen.
I know. I was gonna say
you
we'll
tell
say it. You don't have to
yourself.
say it.
So you tell yourself when you go to bed at night, you go, listen, these people are really great, and they would not say yes to working with me unless I was great too. That's how you got to get through it, man. Um, it's yeah, it's really great. I'm always really honored when someone says yes to a project I'm on, or when an artist reaches out and says that they'd like to work together. Um, it's honestly one of the highest compliments for me.
I the few weeks back I was talking to Erica Schultz, and she has like a new cat character like in her Blood Hunters book, and I said, oh, you trying to make him be the cat, be the new Jeff, huh? I said we're gonna get a team up or something, but gonna rise all these animal characters.
Did you have a what did it even go into your mind like trying to find a balance between like stripping like so much of what like Wonder Woman is and her familiar like eerity and her like classic origins and stuff, but still like trying to keep the balance and the essence of who she is, or did that just kind of just
I think
wherever the wind takes me?
I think it was, there's a trick you can fall into because you don't want it to be like she was so tortured and miserable and yet she came out the same anyway, because then you're just saying maybe too much about nature versus nurture. I was more interested in the ideas that love is transformative. One of Diana's greatest powers is love.
Mm-hmm.
And even as a child, she's going to exude that. I mean, let's keep in mind, like, some of that is essence of Diana, but she's also blessed by literal gods. I mean, she's a literal blessed creature, which is why I think she takes her life so seriously about what she's supposed to do with it. Like, she wasn't blessed for no reason. She wasn't blessed to then just like hang out and not do anything with it. She sees a real responsibility there, I think. And but even when she's not really conscious of that, like when you're a child, I think what happens with her and Circe in hell is that they're in a horrible place and they somehow make a loving home out of it anyway. And that is both Diana's love transforming Circe and then Circe loving her back. And it's a feedback loop that's positive, right? And so that's how you can end up getting a Wonder Woman who still feels very much like the woman we all know and love, but with a lot of things that we've come to associate with her either stripped away or dramatically altered. And there was something very powerful in taking the Amazons from her and even taking the word away from her and allowing her to discover it within herself anyway. And I thought that if we could execute that correctly, we'd really have something that would mean something to people. And I think thanks to Hayden and Jordy and Becca and our editor Chris, I think we did it. I think the response people are having to it says we nailed it. I'm not saying it's going to work for literally every single person, but I don't think I've ever seen such a broad and numerous group of readers have such a universal response to anything I've done, and
Yeah, I've
that
never seen
feels
critics be this nice. I'm just gonna be real.
it's it's yeah, yeah. I
Especially about
mean,
Wonder Woman. It's just something. It's like Wonder Woman and
yeah,
Batman. Like their
yeah,
fans are very, very particular
People have a definitive vision of these
in their
characters.
head.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. People get very protective. It's a crazy thing, but yeah, I think the response, because I got to be honest, you make stuff you believe in all the time. I do think Wonder Woman 1 is one of the best things I've ever written, but I believe everyone should be reading Black Cloak. Like everyone. I think everyone who likes comics and who vaguely likes detective or science fiction or fantasy stories, I think every one of those people should read Black Cloak. I think it's a fantastic book. I think it you'll care about it and you'll be interested in it and you'll be intrigued by it. So, I'm in the tank for the stuff I'm making with people. It's very hard for me to have perspective on that. But sometimes something like Wonder Woman comes along and it's a big blowout compared to the way your world usually is. And, you hope it's going to be the moment that it is and that you can enjoy it. And you also hope that maybe it will level you up so you can get more people to read Black Cloak and the Cull or whatever, right? Whatever next thing you're doing. Because you hope you can carry those people forward with you. Um, what we've done with Diana on Absolute Wonder Woman is really specific to her, but I also think it's really specific to me and what I'm interested in and the kind of things I try to bring to my work. So if you like it here, try some of the other things. You might like those same ideals that I'm bringing to those other things too.
And like, how much input did you have or want to even have, like, on the look of it, like the new look for Wonder Woman, or did you leave a lot of it up to the artist?
I'm very involved. I would love to pretend I'm not. I am. I'm certainly with something like this where we're all building it together. It's even more critical perhaps.
Yeah.
But I it was very much a team. I mean, I try not to come in with any gauntlets to throw down or anything. We're very much all working together. I think we got the first designs, and I think I was the one who was like, I know it hasn't historically gone well for her, but if I'm growing up in hell, I want pants. Like if I'm gonna ride a dead Pegasus, I want pants. Like I don't really think we can get away from that. And nobody disagreed. But even in my email, my internal email with the team, I was like, I know this hasn't gone well, but should we try it? And then Hayden sent over like 4 designs, I think, on one sheet that all had pants. And one of them were like the red sort of wraps that we have now. And they were all great. And we were like, that one. Like, I mean, I think it was only their second pass that had like the full armor look. And I was like, we had to make some tweaks to it, but it was basically fully formed. Like there was one pass of skirts, and then there was the pass that it was. And it was incredible. And they're like that with a lot of stuff.
And it must just be fun, that with this version you can do whatever like kind of weaponry you want, like the giant sword, and like I love like that helmet, and like in the first couple
I
pages.
love the helmet. The helmet and the like fur thing, all of that was so
Oh
good
yeah.
in the design, because I think a lot of times you would build up to that design like, oh, start her just normal and then eventually she'll put all these things on and go to fight a thing, and we're like, no. She arrives wearing that. She arrives fighting a thing. She arrives cutting things up with this giant sword. Like we're going all the way, page 1, here we go. Um and part of it was because that shit's cool. I don't want to build up to it over several issues. I want to show it on page 1. We have a
First
ton.
impressions.
We have a ton of cool shit to show. We don't have to slow it down and dole it out slowly. Plus, it was important to show a lot of that stuff off and do that because we were doling other things out slowly. We are bringing in her cast in like book by book. Steve's going to show up in 2. Barbara Minerva shows up in 3. Etta Candy shows up in 4.
Ooh.
Whereas if you look at Batman, which in fairness has like 10 more pages than we do, there's tons of cameos. There's a lot of layering of that. So you're not only getting more named characters right out of the gate, from Gordon to Alfred to
Well, the
whoever
Bat
else,
family
right?
is ginormous in comparison to the Wonder
Right.
families too.
Yeah,
So
and so is the mythology, and so are the number of
Mhm.
stories and all of that. So I think they do warrant different approaches, and it's cool. It's cool that they're different. It's cool that they're different and they can sit next to each other and be different. I love it.
And I kind of like they met. I mean, and they kind of made you wait for the Batman reveal. Here, you come in right away. You're just like, okay, this ain't your daddy's Wonder Woman. You know, she got the helmet. She
Yeah.
got the giant sword. Yeah.
But I also like that about it because it's very Batman to show up in the shadows later in secret and nobody can
Mhm.
find you, right? And that's not what this Wonder Woman is
Mhm.
doing. She's fighting kaiju sized things on the beach. So it's not really a thing you hide, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really cool.
That is the best comment. Yes, she is not Batman. I hate when they try to like show like look
she's
at all the
well. To be fair, Wonder Woman is actually technically more grimdark than Batman could ever be. People just don't realize
yeah,
it.
but she's not hiding. She's coming at you with that giant sword.
I mean, I think Wonder Woman, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think she's very hardcore now. I think she's seen shit Bruce can't even imagine right
Well,
now.
she still has that
But
quintessential out of fish out of water story that I
she
still
does.
love.
I'm glad you like that because I like it too. I know people, I'm gonna try really hard to not do the thing they did in the movie with the
And it's not
baby.
that boring, sexy yesterday trope either, which bothers me. It's
No,
very
no.
different.
But like it is true, there's a moment in that movie where she sees the baby and she's like genuinely so charmed by it. And like, yes, you would be. If you'd never seen a baby before, that would be charming. So I'm trying to figure out how to get our moment like that won't be the same, but that will still speak to it would be crazy to see a baby when you've never fucking seen a baby before. Like it's a whole little creature, you know? Um I've also got a theory that Diana can probably speak to babies the way she can animals. I
Oh,
don't really
compassion and love. Yeah, that
there's
makes
really
sense.
yeah, there's really no basis for it. I just feel like she would get a baby, like she would understand it. She just is she's very in tune to what's happening to people, you know? Anyway, it's a funny thing. I'm clearly wrestling with this baby thing quite a bit, that I would say I'm actively looking for the way to do it in a creative way in our book that won't feel like a retread of things we've seen before.
I mean, I could see that contrast, just the visual contrast. Maybe she has some creature's blood on her hands. Maybe while she's like softly picking up this baby or something she just saved or something.
Or maybe she would Circe style hold it by its leg. Is this someone's baby? It doesn't belong on the field of battle.
Whose is this?
Yeah.
Is there
Um,
a reason you chose Gateway City and like the backdrop of obviously Southern California as it represents it?
So, I mean, I'm a California girl, so always love it when we can place things in California. I did it with Kate Bishop. I'll do it with anybody. Give me a character. I'm not afraid. Not afraid to West Coast them. I mostly just think it's really weird for it to all be on the East Coast. It's bizarre. But mostly I love Gateway City. I think it's a really smart thing for her. I don't know why she shouldn't have her own city that's her American home if she's going to have an
Mhm.
American base. Um, I do think it made a certain amount of sense when Greg Rucka and I think Gail also used Washington D.C. It makes sense, but
For
it
the
doesn't
embassy
it
part of it, yeah.
yeah, it doesn't make sense as much to me as giving her her own fictional city the way they have Metropolis and Gotham.
Okay, just cough twice if Jim Corrigan shows up because he is technically from there. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
So yeah, I also think that we'll be doing something with Magic and with Gateway City that will sort of eliminate concern about her being too far away from things that are happening wherever she needs to get to. We'll be building her yeah, we'll be building her a sort of base there and like really setting her up there. I think
Well,
Gateway
speaking
City
of
is
bases,
great.
can we get her at a baseball game? At the
Maybe.
Gateway Archers baseball game? I'm just saying, just a little tiny panel.
I like the idea of the baseball game. I gotta be honest, I'm not super excited about the visuals of doing the baseball game. It seems a
She
little
gets to throw
boring.
out the first pitch, you know?
I don't think that's going to be fair.
So
Yeah,
to
I enjoyed that Southern California backdrop for sure. I thought it was just something very fresh and reinvigorating.
It's also like a cool thing to bring back. Like it
Yeah,
was,
who's even thought about Gateway City in forever?
it's been a while, but when we were looking at what were we going to do, I was like, I think it's a no-brainer. It's Gateway City, isn't it? And everyone was like, yeah, makes sense.
Although it's funny because Earth 2 is the demon worshipping pilgrims thing, which kind of ties back into magic too. So,
And we are playing with that in the sense that the whole idea of Gateway City is that it's built on
it's a hellmouth.
like
It's Buffy.
yes, it is. It
Well,
is.
technically it's San
Which
Francisco, not LA, but still kind of the same
yeah,
thing.
it's more San Francisco than LA, but it is basically built on like a hellmouth, which explains why the first kaiju things show up in Gateway City and not
Oh,
Gotham
good.
or
My
something else.
headcanon was correct.
Yes. I mean, we might not ever spell that out, but I think it'll be pretty obvious as things develop. There'll be like the equivalent of like an Area 51. This hasn't been approved, but which will contain some of the secrets that relate to Wonder Woman that are things the government is hiding either with good reason or bad, perhaps both. This hasn't been approved, but I think we should call it Area 41 since it's 1941,
nice.
but for her debut there. But yeah, I think we got a lot of cool things we're gonna do. Look out, especially I would say for issue 3. Has got I think issue 2 is great, but issue 3 has some really big stuff in it that I think people will be excited about. So
any
Well, we're always excited about a book from you, Kelly.
Oh
Honestly.
yeah.
thank you.
Like you made me read Captain Marvel. Like I'm not a big Carol Danvers fan, but I gave it a shot, and it was good. It was. I really
do you
understood the
like
whole Danvers core thing.
Yeah, do you get it more now with Carol?
I
You like
do.
her better? Yeah.
Um,
She doesn't have a
She's hard to love, and you kind of brought some different facets that most people kind of don't really bring to the forefront for that character to make it a little more relatable and like empathetic for her.
Thank you. That was definitely one of the goals. I felt like we were in a box a lot of the time I was doing that book, not because editorial was making me be, but just because there was so much pushback against her. And I have to say, writing Wonder Woman is just such a different experience. Like, you mostly run into people who love her, even people who don't like read her or don't have the affection for her. They still like Wonder Woman. They still think she's great. They just maybe aren't big fans. And then the people who are fans are just so protective of her. And like, I get it, but it's a totally different experience than writing Carol, which is, she's just so naturally reviled in like a really annoying way that is frustrating to me. And so I did feel like a lot of my time working with her was trying to make her more
Kind of some
relatable.
PR.
Yeah, it was trying to soften her in places and make her more relatable and make people understand her better, which I guess I'm always trying to do that with characters, but it felt not optional on Captain Marvel a lot. And that was frustrating for me, especially because I really did fall for her. Like she's never gonna be my favorite character. But I really, writing her all that time, I really care
You
about
got
her
her to
so much.
50. Like
I just care about her so much. It's hard to see people being so hard on her when she's literally just out there trying to save people every day and do her best. And it is just not appreciated. Not like Wonder Woman. People are like, "Oh, Wonder Woman saved me," you
but
know?
that is the modern example. I mean, DC Marvel gives someone more than a year or two on a book. I mean, look what Kelly did in 4 years.
yeah. I thought it was
It,
super impressive, honestly. Like I said,
thank you.
it was
Thank
rough.
you.
I was just like, yeah.
And again,
Yeah.
just in this era, I mean, a book that's not Batman or Superman get it in the 50. It's just yes.
Yeah.
Touche,
Anybody.
good sir. Oh, do you have a favorite cover, or are they all your favorites?
Of one?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got to be honest, I really love Hayden's main cover.
Mm.
When you're doing a number 1 like that, you have to see the main #1 cover so many. I mean, you just see it for so many months, and if it's not a great, great cover, you get really sick of it fast. And I have never gotten sick. I mean, I still have it as my little screen cap here because it's so good. Like,
Mhm.
I just really think it encompasses everything we're going for with her so perfectly. So I have to say that's really one of my favorite, but I cannot deny the Dan Panosian, both of his. I see you've got one for yours, are incredible. I also like the decal as sort of a counter to, like, everything was so rough, even the fan art, right? When people were realizing, like, oh, she's got all this rough and ready armor and everything, and people were really leaning into that. And Deacle just was like, I do my regular thing. I smooth it out. Everything is tight as hell. I sort of love it. It's almost like a mirror or vision of her, which I love. Yeah, they were all pretty good though.
Yeah, they were.
I gotta be honest. We really had a uh an insane amount. I also really like the Jim Lee black and white of all the Jim Lee
Mm.
ones. Although the foil one turned out pretty cool. I have to say all the foil ones. Secret
We've been joking like for a long time, like bring back the lenticular and foil covers, and DC actually did it. So now I have to like shut up and actually buy them.
I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this, but the Art Germ cover, which has not come out and I believe will be out in January or something. I don't know if it's part of something else. I don't know. But there are 3 variants of that, and one of them is really, really cool. They're all beautiful, of course. Art Germ is very good, but one of them has a really cool effect on it that I really like.
Oh.
So that one's
Nice.
that one's one of my faves, I have to say.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they're all good because it's like, all of them stand next to that Jim Lee. It's just like they're all
Yeah.
great. Like you said, the main cover, I was like, wow,
Dead Pegasus, baby. I'm like, that is so metal.
Yeah.
yes.
I was shocked actually when the Pegasus was revealed. I mean, people have been very complimentary and they've really enjoyed it, but I feel like people were even more into the sword than the Pegasus, which I thought would be sort of switched. It's funny.
Yeah, you need to come up with like some heavy metal like soundtrack for this. Stuff.
Well, so it's funny you should say that
Oh,
because
here we go.
the first time I was reading issue 1 with lettering, I happened to be listening to a writing playlist, and it was Rage Against the Machine's Killing in the Name,
Yes.
Nice.
and it went really hard with the issue, I gotta say. It
Nice.
was pretty cool. I hit a point in the music right when it kicks in, and it's right in that early panel where she's either jumping or flying up off Pegasus, and it's a very subtle moment. It's one of my favorite panels. I think, unfortunately, because it's one of the ones that has like a chyron, and it's clearly like from the newscaster's point of view. And because of that, the coloring has that different sheen on it. And so I think it ended up de-emphasizing that panel a little bit. It was one of my favorite little bits in the whole first issue. And that bit with her jumping in that mask off the horse, which is so metal, that kicks in right as part of Rage kicked in. And I was like, yes! I was like, we have something really cool here.
So do you do the same playlist for everything, or do you have different playlists for different books?
I do different playlists for different books. And I use it a little bit
I
like
can imagine Rage Against the Machine for Black Cloak.
I mean, I use it that way for a couple reasons. One, it's a little bit Pavlovian, that it can keep me focused on, it can make me feel like writing if I'm using a writing playlist. Um, and also my schedule is such that, just because you want to write, just if you're in the mood to write Jeff, but you need to write Absolute Wonder Woman, like sometimes those music cues help me get like my head in the right space. Although that said, I've mostly just been listening to the Challenger soundtrack because it's so hardcore. I love it.
Would you ever release that? Be like, okay, here's the Absolute Wonder Woman playlist.
Maybe. Sure. If people were interested in that,
I
maybe.
know I would be. Yeah.
Everybody
maybe I'll
bombard her on social media.
Yeah, I'll put it on the Substack maybe. That would be a fun one.
There you go. Yeah. Because I was like, oh, Rage. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of self-promotion, since we're rolling around to the end of this hour, Anything else you got to promote? Substacks, new
Well,
creator project.
I think I already talked about the books that I'm doing, and I can't talk about the unannounced, but the best place to keep track of me is the Substack. With social media being so weird, it's a good spot. There's a free newsletter that can just excuse me, that can just keep you engaged in what I've got coming out and everything. But also, there's a non-free version if you'd like to read comics and comment and get more engaged. In the other thing is I am on Blue Sky under Kelly Thompson, so that's probably better than Twitter. I'll be stepping back with Twitter even more now that that block thing is coming into function, and also the AI stuff. I think on the 15th that like fully changes over, so I'll be doing less and less there, as I think many will. So yeah, find me on Blue Sky. I am on Instagram and things like that, but I'm barely there. I was just saying to someone the other day that the AI stuff is a particularly weird thing for someone like me, because most of the art I would promote to post to promote things I'm doing, I don't own that art. And maybe artists don't own it either because it's a DC comic book cover or whatever, but I don't feel super comfortable posting other people's stuff when I know it might get data scraped. So it's
Yeah.
put me in a real tricky position. All writers, I think. And I mean, obviously artists are in the most tricky position, but I'm just saying there's like an added complication there where I want to be protective with other people's stuff. And like, it's not convenient to call up every artist that does a variant cover for you to be like, hey, how are you feeling about AI? And do you want me to? So, it's a real
Yeah.
annoying thing. Anyway.
Yeah, I'd say the newsletter is the best because again, it just comes right to your email, kids. You don't gotta go searching social media.
Yeah, and Phil can attest. I don't do it enough to be annoying, which is maybe annoying if you're paying for it. Maybe you're like, well, I could stand to get another one with more content, and I'd be like, fair enough. But yeah, you're not going to be inundated with it.
No, it's just like, oh, hey, new issue out here. Yeah.
yeah. I would say best / worst that happens is you get like 4 a month. One a week would be a lot happening.
Mhm.
I would say more likely you get 2 in a week and then 1 another week, 2 later. 2 weeks later. Yeah, it's not a super strict schedule.
Well, we'll definitely probably have that in the show notes because Phil's good about that.
Yes. All right. So Kelly has to go, but buy all the books. She has hungry cats to feed, so buy those books.
Yes. So yeah, Monarch is, he's so quiet now. He's dead. He's dead in the bathtub. He's died of starvation.
Every purchase feeds an animal. There you go. All right. Once again, thank you, Kelly Thompson. You always make time for us, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Because she is busy, kids. Trust me, she's busy.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Such a great interview as
Oh,
always.
Oh yeah, that's why anytime I see she has something, I was like,
such a modest queen. We love her.
Such a great interview every time. Yeah. I mean, I'd be interested in the book even if it wasn't her, but I saw it was her. I was like, oh, we definitely.
Yeah, until you told me, I was really hesitant. I'm like, I don't know who they have on it. Oh, it's Kelly. Okay.
Yeah, me too. Like some of the when I heard the idea at first, I was like, I don't know, but then I saw it was Kelly. I was like, I think I told you, I was like, it's gonna be good.
It just can't be. It can't be the ninja thing again. I can't do
it. No, as we saw, it was not.
It was so good.
Yeah.
I really, it gives me also like reminiscent of the Witching Hour, which was really good and really good. Like if you're like into like the power scaling or like Wonder Woman and stuff and the real like deep magic, such a great cut, and it's very reminiscent of that. So I enjoyed it a lot.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I had a lot of thoughts.
and I hope she shares that that playlist. I want to read. Maybe wait till 2 comes out. Just read the first 2 issues. We're listening to that soundtrack.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Gotta time out the rage for it. She said.
Phil's chomping at the bit to give you our shameless plugs because y'all know how he is.
That's right. Yeah, because Lilith will beat me if I don't. All right. So yes, so you can find us, especially if you're a creator. Again,
we're nice. We don't bite unless you ask.
There's no creator. Oh, hey, well, there's no creator too big or too small for us kids. So yes, if you have your own comic, if you're a big
fan product, fan made
Kickstarter, anything. Yes. So please, yes, or email us again, and again, keep an eye on our social media. If you see a creator, yes, send in your questions for him.
Fanfic writers.
Why? I'm broadcasting with one now.
Shh.
I didn't tell him what your alias is. I don't even know what your alias is. All right, so email us, CapesandLunatics@gmail.com, or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And remember, you can find all things Capes Lunatics episodes, social media, merchandise. Get your brand new Capes Lunatics merch, the classic Capes and Lunatics merch. And of course, we have a Patreon where Lilith and I always give you exclusive content, uncensored content every month. It could be anything. I mean, we recapped our summer road trip, October. We just did a Halloween episode. So
My
again,
special interest is limited edition candies. So if you're into that too.
So yeah, I mean, we talk a lot of comics here, but yeah, that Patreon can be anything. So, and
we might be doing another year of misery or pleasure. I don't know.
Whoa. No, you're not in a relationship with Lilith Hellfire. No, and if you are a Patreon subscriber, you can suggest topics for us. So yeah, send in your requests, pay us the money, and then send us the requests. So you can subscribe at Patreon.
My boy.
Patreon.com/CapesandLunatics, and you can find everything at tubespace.io/CapesandLunatics Podcast Network, tubespace.io/CapesandLunatics Podcast Network. And you can't find Lilith anywhere, especially in this country. So
maybe the depths of hell with Wonder Woman. I don't know.
There you go. You might just have to give up on that dream.
Where I'm gonna go hide if anything goes haywire tomorrow.
You might have to just give up on the dream of the bazooka and get like a giant sword like this.
You know, I do know a sword maker actually. I wonder what one of those things would cost.
And I mean, you're not even that tall, so I mean, he just could be a little bit taller than you. I was about to say to Kelly, I was like, this is going to be the book where, sometime next year she's going to be at a appearance at our convention somewhere, and someone's going to come up dressed as this Wonder Woman.
Absolutely. If it doesn't happen, it's a travesty.
Yeah, all you cosplayers, get the Kelly and dress as Wonder Woman.
I can't freaking wait for freaking cosplay season 2025 for convention circuit. Oh, it's gonna be so good.
Oh yeah. The big challenge is going to be trying to do that absolute Batman.
Good luck.
I know. All right,
kids. The puppet.
Who moved my puppet? Oh, there he is.
What's he doing under there, Phil?
Mind your business, woman. All right, for another week, we have been your Capes.
Appleside Lunatics.
Yay. Again. So many it's gonna be so
many
weird.
interviews, little time.
We're gonna have like 4 interviews in a row, which are all great, and then we're gonna probably end the year with like the Kraven the Hunter review.
You win some, you lose some.
Hey kids, we're gonna be a lot of good stuff before we get the Kraven. All right, but once again, as always, thank you, Kelly, for your time. Go pick up Absolute Wonder Woman.
And Black Cloak.
And Birds of Prey.